again, Mindsetters. Welcome to your Maths Monday show. I am Looney, and with me is Natasha. How are you, Natasha?
I'm very well, thanks, Looney. Great to see you back on a Monday, and great to be with all the grade 10s again.
So what are we doing for the grade 10s today?
All right, grade 10s, today we're looking at finance. It's the first in our two-part lessons that we're going to be doing. Today we're going to be looking at simple and compound interest.
All right, Mindsetters, I hope you guys are very excited for your show. Remember to hit us up on Facebook, on facebook.com/LearnExtra, and then our Twitter handle is @LearnExtra. If you want all the show notes, the videos, and the schedules, check out our website on learn.mindset.co.za. And then if you want to win yourself this awesome Casio calculator, all you need to do is go to our Facebook page. The Test Yourself link is there. You complete all the questions from there. You submit your entry. You fill in all your information, and then you have until Monday at 8 a.m. So you have until Monday, guys, to enter the Test Yourself competition. Congratulations to Lucky Radao. You have won yourself the Casio calculator from last week's Test Yourself questions. So congratulations to you. You have won yourself this awesome calculator. So with that said, Natasha.
All right, guys, so before we get started with the lesson, just a reminder of your challenge question for today. As I said, today we're looking at finance, simple and compound interest. And your challenge question says, Ayanda desperately wants to buy a TV and decides to buy one on a hire purchase agreement. The TV's cash price is 5,500 and she will pay it off over 54 months at an interest rate of 21% per annum. An insurance premium of £12.50 is added to every monthly payment. How much are her monthly payments? All right, so hopefully all of you guys are going to get cracking on this one, and we're going to get your answers when we're ready to do the challenge question later on in the show. But first, we're going to kick things off with a summary on simple and compound interest, just reminding you about some of the terms you will come across in today's lesson. Remember, when we deal with interest, interest depends on three factors: the amount of money invested or borrowed, which is P, also known as your initial amount or your principal amount, the duration of the investment or the loan, okay, which is represented by the symbol N, and the interest rate per period, which is R. Now, generally in your calculations, you won't put in R, which is in percentage form. You'll write down your interest rate in decimal form given by I, which is simply going to be your interest rate divided by 100. So generally, this is what you're going to be substituting into your formulae. The formulae you'll be working with, firstly, if we're dealing with simple interest, just a reminder that in simple interest, interest is calculated on the original amount of money only. Okay, so with simple interest, your interest is calculated on the original amount. Okay, the formula you use is A is equal to P. Remember, P being your initial amount, A being your final amount. So A is equal to P into brackets 1 plus I being your interest rate in decimal form, times N, where N is the time period. All right. Now, a classic example of a simple interest application is your hire purchase agreements. Remember, this was your challenge question for today, hire purchase agreements. The interest on a hire purchase loan is always charged at simple interest, and therefore you are only charged interest on the amount you're owing. And sometimes what you'll have with a hire purchase agreement in most cases is you will be required to pay a deposit, and then you'll have to subtract that deposit from the amount of money or from your principal amount, and you then base your final amount on your principal amount less your deposit. You will also see that sometimes you have monthly insurance premiums added, as in your challenge question for today. All right, so hire purchase agreement is one of the applications of your simple interest formula. Also, just dealing with simple interest, when you map or when we graph simple interest, so if we're looking at our number of years and our amount on the y-axis, your simple interest will always be a straight line graph, and the reason for that is because you've got a constant amount of interest that's been added onto your initial amount P. So there's a constant amount of interest, and hence you get a straight line graph. Now, when we look at compound interest really nice if you're investing money, not so nice if you're borrowing money. The reason for that, interest is calculated on the original amount plus interest that is already earned. Okay, your formula for compound interest, your final amount is equal to P times 1 plus I to the power of N. So therefore, what you'll find here is that your amounts increase exponentially. So the amount of interest earned will increase exponentially when you graph it. Therefore, very nice if you're investing money, not so nice if you're borrowing money. Okay, so compound interest, we use the formula A is equal to P times 1 plus I to the power of N. Okay, and the big thing to remember with compound interest, it is interest that you're going to earn on your initial amount plus any interest that's accumulated up to that point of time that you are working in. All right, let's get straight into the questions, just doing a few applications of the simple interest formula. Okay, here we are told that Joseph has made a deposit of 5,000 Rand into the bank. Now what I like to do is, as we go through the question, I make a list. We know the symbols are always the same. Okay, we make a list of what we're given, and then we can see easily what we are asked or required to calculate. Okay, so as we read through the question, we're going to fill in each of the A, P, I, and N values. Joseph made a deposit of 5,000 Rand. He made a deposit of 5,000 Rand, therefore 5,000 must be his initial amount. So P is equal to 5,000. And it's in the bank for his 5-year-old son's 21st birthday. Now this obviously has something to do with time. Let's look at what's happening here. He's putting in the money now, all right? He's putting in the money now. His son is 5 years old, okay? And he's put it there for the son's 21st birthday. So when he's 21 years old, the son is going to get this money. If the son is 5 years old now, he's going to get the money when he's 21 years old. That means the time period that we're investing for, 21 minus 5, 16 years. All right, so this money is going to be invested for a period of 16 years. So therefore, N is going to be 16. All right. He has given his son the amount of 18,000 Rand on his 21st birthday. So the final amount is 18,000. And they want to know at what rate was the money invested if simple interest was calculated. Now guys, firstly, before we do this question, I just want to point out that simple interest in the real world, we don't use it that much. If you go to a financial institution, they're generally going to grant you compound interest, not really simple interest. But for the sake of application of this question, we're looking at simple interest. But in a real life situation, you really want an investment to be on compound interest, not on simple interest. Okay, as I explained to you before, you're going to get more money back if you're using compound interest. All right, so we're using the simple interest method because they said interest is calculated at simple interest. And remember, we've put down all of the values that we can. We know we're going to use the simple interest rate formula. And what are they asking you for? The rate. Okay, so the rate in percentage forms, obviously, if we work out I, we will get the rate because I is equal to R divided by 100. So therefore, we need to work out what I is. Okay, remember in your formula, you can be asked to work out any of the variables. Okay, so your formula being A is equal to P into brackets 1 plus I times N. Okay, we know that A, we filled it in already above. A was given as 18,000. The initial amount he invested was 5,000 Rand. And that's into 1 plus I being your interest rate, that's what we're looking for. And N, your period, whenever you're dealing with simple interest, N is always in years. Okay, so if they gave us 24 months, we would change that to years. Okay, so your N in simple interest is always in years. Okay, and your interest rate is also always quoted as a yearly rate or an annual rate. So N here was 16. Okay, so we have a look at that. This is just a matter of changing the subject of the formula, because remember we're trying to get all the way to I. I know some people prefer to work from that original thing there and then rework out a formula for I. You can do it that way, but if you're good with changing the subject of the formula, there's no need to do an additional step. Okay, we want to get to I there. We're going to divide both sides by 5,000, so we'll get 18,000 divided by 5,000 is equal to 1 plus I times 16. Okay, we want to get to the I, remember, so we need to strip away the other things. We need to get rid of that 1, so it's going to be 18,000 divided by 5,000 minus 1 is equal to I times 16. And guys, what you should really try to do with all of your finance questions is keep your calculations all together on your calculator, so that in the end there's not going to be any rounding off errors. You don't want to round off at every step, because you're going to get some errors there. Okay, so basically what I did, I needed to get to the I divided both sides. This should be divided by, so that's over 16. Divide both sides by 16, so it's 18,000 over 5,000 minus 1, all divided by 16. You put that entire thing into your calculator, and let's see what our interest rate is. Okay. All right, and I seem to have lost our calculator. Let's just see if I can find it again. Luni, do we remember which calculator we use here?
Don't remember.
Okay, well there we go, I've got it back. And there we go. Okay, so let's do this. So we've got 18,000 divided by 5,000, I think it was. All right. Okay, and we're going to subtract 1 from that, close our brackets. All right, and then that whole thing we're going to divide by 16. And you get an answer of 0.1625. So it's 0.1625. Okay, that's your interest rate, your rate. So this is in decimal form, obviously. So in percentage form, it's going to be your interest rate is 16.25%. Okay, so at an interest rate of 16.25%, we are saying that 5,000 will grow to 18,000 over a period of 16 years. Okay, finance is one of those sections where there's a lot of practical applications, and you guys just need to practice, as you always need to do with maths. Luni, it's time for a break.
Yes. Mindsetters, we are going to take a break. Before we do, don't forget to enter the SA Water Games. What it is that it's a turn-based game that wants to see what you think of water issues in South Africa. And there are various prizes to be won, guys, including airtime prizes. First prize, you can win 5,000 Rand. Second prize, 3,000 Rand. Third prize, 2,000 Rand. And entries do close on the 18th of August. So make sure you visit www.watergame.co.za to enter the competition and start playing. You can play as many times as you want to beat your previous score and win those prizes, guys. And learning more about water conservation as you go along the game. So with that said, let's take a very quick break and we'll see you straight after this. Welcome back from that break, guys. So if you want to challenge other mindsetters and get to learn more about maths and practice your maths, all you need to do is join the Nokia mobile maths site. You go to momats.com/ZA. That is the link, and I'll post it on our Facebook page as well. You want to practice your maths, you want to get questions, answer questions and all of that, and challenge other mindsetters as well, go to that site. I'll post it on our Facebook page and improve your maths. But now it's time for the lesson with Natasha again. So Natasha.
All right, guys, so carrying on with simple interest, let's look at question 2. Here we are asked to find a different variable. We are asked to calculate the number of years needed to invest 1,000 Rand. Okay, so again, we'll write down each of our variables, and let's have a look at which one they're asking us to find. Calculate the number of years. Obviously, they're looking for N. Needed to invest 1,000 Rand. Invest, you're starting with your original amount is 1,000 Rand. In order for it to accumulate, your final value is going to be 2,500 Rand. And at a simple interest rate of 8.2% per annum. Remember, when you're using your formula, you always put the decimal form of that in, so it's going to be 0.082, which is simply 8.2 divided by 100. Okay, so therefore, once we've written all of the information down that we have and what we're looking for, it's just a straightforward application of the formula. Once again, we're working with simple interest, so we're using A is equal to P times 1 plus I times N. All right? We know that the final amount is 2,500. The initial amount is 1,000. And the interest rate is 0.082. So we were looking for N. Okay, so once again, we strip away from all the N, we get rid of all the other values, and let's get N by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is divide both sides by 1,000. So it's 2,500. Let's just erase that. 2,500 divided by 1,000. And we want to get rid of that 1 there, so we subtract it to the left-hand side, is equal to 0.082 times N. If I want to get rid of 0.082, I need to divide this whole thing by 0.082. So just changing the subject of the formula so we can get N by itself. And once again, it's just a matter of putting all of this into your calculator. Remember, they asked us N in years, right? Okay. So we've got 2,500 over 1,000 minus 1. Close that bracket, and then the whole thing is divided by 0.082. As you can see, we're doing everything on the calculator. We're not rounding off at any stage, and therefore we get an answer of 18.29 years. All right. Now, guys, this is not sufficient. You can't stop here. 18.29 years can be more explicitly explained because it's 18,29 years. So I know it's going to be 18 years and a couple of months. Hey, so I want to find out how many months. And remember, there's 12 months in a year. So if I subtract 18, I'm going to be left with 0.2926, which is just the decimal part of your answer in year forms. So that's a fraction of a year. If we times that by 12, we'll get 3.5. You want to round up because remember, if you keep it at 3.5, it's not going to accumulate to the amount of 2,500 Rand. You need to round up here. So 3.5 will be 18 years and 4 months. Okay, so you've got to round up. You can't leave it as 18.29. You need to state your 0.29 in a matter of months. And remember, if it's something like 3,5, you need to round up. You need to go 1 up, as you always will do if you're rounding to 1 decimal place. The reason for that is if you put N here as 18 years and 3 months, you will not get your principal amount of 1,000 Rand, taking you to 2,500. It will fall short. Okay, so those little things are important. If they ask you for an answer in years, you will need to give years and months if you've got a fractional or decimal point in your remainder. All right. Okay, let's have a look at question 3. And this time we're looking at some compound interest. Here we're told that Morgan invests, and we're going to do the same thing as we did before, guys. We're going to list the values for A, I, P, and N, and let's have a look at what they're looking for. So Morgan invests 5,000 Rand, invests 5,000 Rand, so therefore P is equal to 5,000. Into an account which pays out a lump sum at the end of 5 years. So N is equal to 5. If he gets 7,500 Rand at the end of that period, so A, your final amount is 7,500, what compound interest rate did the bank offer him? So they're looking for R. Obviously, we'll work out I and then times by 100 to get R. Okay, so we're looking for I here. We're dealing with compound interest. Therefore, we need to use the compound interest. That implies that your interest is worked out on your original amount and any accumulated interest. The formula is A is equal to P times 1 plus I to the power of N. All right? Once again, we're going to strip away. We're going to fill in the values that we know, and we're going to strip it away to look for I. Okay. So A, the final amount we know is 7,500. Your initial amount was 5,000. And we are looking for the value of I, so obviously we don't know that, and N is equal to 5. All right? Remember, it is important, if N is in years, your interest rate needs to be annual. All right, so let's divide through by the 5,000, so I get 7,500 divided by 5,000 is equal to 1 plus I to the power of 5. You want to get rid of the power 5, we can take the fifth root on both sides, or we raise both sides to the power 1 over 5. It's the exact same thing, because remember, the fifth root is the same as raising to the power 1 over 5. So we take the fifth root of 7,500 divided by 5,000, and then I'm just left with 1 plus I. Okay, and then to get to the I need to subtract 1. So fifth root of that minus 1 will give me the interest rate in decimal form. Okay, at this point we put everything into our calculator. So we're looking for the fifth root, or as I said, if you don't like working with the fifth root, you can use to the power of 1 over 5. I'm going to use the fifth root, but if you prefer, you guys can use to the power 1 over 5. Okay, so it's the fifth root of 7,500 over 5,000. Okay, from that we subtract 1. And you get an answer of 0,084, so therefore I is equal to 0,08 if we were rounding off to 2 decimal places, or 0,084 if it's 3 decimal places. Therefore your interest rate will be times that by 100, and you get 8,4%. Okay, so therefore the interest rate using compound interest that will take 5,000 Rand and make it 7,500 Rand over 5 years is 8,4%. All right. Okay, guys, so it's important that you understand the application of your formulae to find any variable that you're looking for. You need to be able to find I, N, A, or P. All right, before I go into question 4, I just want to check with Looney and see if any questions have arisen for us so far.
No, not yet. We don't have any question.
No questions, so we can continue to question 4, or are we taking a break?
We can continue.
All right. Okay, guys, so with the authority invested in Looney, we will continue with question 4, so still dealing with compound interest. Here we are told that Nicola wants to invest some money, obviously some money, we don't know how much, at a compound interest rate of 11% per annum. How much money to the nearest Rand should be invested if she wants to reach a sum of 100,000 Rand in 5 years' time? So what do we have? We know that A, the final amount that she wants to get at the end of the period is 100,000. Okay. P, how much should she invest? That's what we're looking for. How much can she put in so that she gets 100,000 at the end of the period? The period being 5 years. And the interest rate is 11%. All right. So we're looking for P. We've got A, N, and I. So we're going to say 100,000 is equal to P times 1 plus I. I is 0.11, so it's going to be 1,11 to the power of N, power of 5. Right, we're looking for P, so we divide both sides by 1.11 to the power of 5, so we get P is equal to 100,000 divided by 1.11 to the power of 5. Alright, and you're simply going to put that into your calculator. Let's see what we get. So we've got 100,000 divided by 1.11 to the power of 5. And that's going to give us 59,345 Rand. 59,300. And let's have a look at the last one, because remember they did say to the nearest Rand, so that means let's round it off to 1 decimal place. And to 1 decimal place, it's going to simply be 59,345 Rand to the nearest Rand. Okay, so if she invests that amount over a period of 5 years at an interest rate of 11%, she will end up with 100,000 Rand. All right, great. So we've had a look at the different kind of ways you can make use of your compound interest and your simple interest formula. And we're going to take a quick break and cross to Luni now. And then when we come back, have a look at the challenge question.
Before we do, can we take a question? There's one question on the
Okay.
page. Kumo Mosiaboya, wow, is asking you to please repeat question 2.
Question, which part of question 2? Because
didn't
we certainly
specify.
can't do the entire thing again. If there's a specific part that they don't understand, and I can't see where the confusion would come across, you would need to tell us exactly which part of that question you don't understand. We cannot repeat the entire question. Remember, we've only got an hour to get everything done in the show, so we can't do an entire question all over again, unless we've got time at the end.
Okay, cool. Kuma, please be specific on the page which part of question 2 you want repeated. Then Natasha will help you with that. But with that said, Mindset, let's take a very quick break and we'll see you straight after this. Welcome back, Mindsetters, from that break. Just to correct myself from the previous link I gave you for Momats, it's momats.nokia.com/ZA. It is on our Facebook page, so go check it out. Go challenge other Mindsetters, go get some questions, go practice your maths, and improve your skills. Natasha.
All right, guys, hopefully some of you have had a chance to answer the challenge question, which we're going to get into now, dealing specifically with hire purchase agreements. And remember, with this hire purchase agreement question that we're doing, hire purchase agreements are always done using simple interest, all right? And what I want to remind you guys, what happens with hire purchase agreements, it's not something you come across too often, but it does happen in cases where, say you want to buy a huge flat screen TV and it costs thousands and thousands of rands. You don't have it just sitting in the bank. So you can go into the store, ask them, well, do you do hire purchase agreements? And what the store owner or whatever, you know, if it's a furniture store, they've got their rules and their credit apps and that you've got to fill in. And they will sometimes ask you for a deposit, where you'll pay a deposit on your TV or whatever equipment you're buying, and then you pay off the rest of that amount over a certain period of time. Once you've paid off that amount, then you can go and collect your TV or whatever your equipment was. Okay, so that's how a hire purchase agreement works. Okay, so as you can see in this one, Ayanda wants to desperately buy a TV and decides to buy one on a hire purchase agreement. The TV's cash price, so if she had the money in her pocket now, she will pay 5,500 Rand. And this is why you'll see when we get to the end of the question, we say it's not advisable to buy things on credit. You don't want to owe tons and tons of money to people. And you'll see that adding interest onto an amount that you owe takes the amount from 5,000 Rand and potentially doubles it. So you really don't want to get into a habit of spending and buying too much on credit. Okay? So the TV's cash price is 5,500 Rand now. She's going to pay it off over 54 months at an interest rate of 21% per annum. And then there's an insurance premium of 12 Rand 50 that's added to every monthly payment. How much are her monthly payments? So you can see in this one, they didn't say anything about a deposit, so we're not going to subtract any amount off. She's just taking the entire price of 5,500 Rand on credit. Okay, so let's write down what we have. TV's cash price. Right now, if you had the money, you will pay 5,500 Rand. Okay, she's going to pay it off over 54 months. And remember, guys, I said to you, when you're dealing with simple interest, it's always in terms of years. So N is not going to be 54 months. It's going to be 54 divided by 12, because there's 12 months in a year. And that will give us, I think it's about 4.5. 54 divided by 12 is 4.5. All right, so she's paying this off over 4.5 years. We're going to deal with the insurance premium a little bit later on, but the interest rate that she gets is 21%. 21 divided by 100, 0.21. Okay? Now, they're asking you, what are the monthly payments? But there's nowhere in the formula for a placeholder where you can put in monthly payments. So what are you going to do? So in this question, the little trick here is you cannot work out the monthly payments directly from the formula. What you can do, however, is you can work out the final amount that she's going to pay on this TV. Take that, divide it by the number of months, and then you'll have an idea of how much she's going to pay each month. Okay, so to work out the monthly payments, we first need to work out A. We then take A, divide that by our 54, and we'll get the monthly payments. All right, so A is going to be equal to 5,500 times 1 plus 0.21 times 4.5 years. Okay, so we work out what the final amount is going to be. Again, straightforward. Put it into your calculator. Do not try to mess around and work out all individual parts of this. Okay, and we've got a pop-up display again. Let's see if we can work around that. There we go. So it's going to be 5,500 into brackets 1 plus 0.21 times 4.5. Okay, and that's straight from your formula. We haven't done anything fancy there, and we work out that's going to give us 10,697 Rand, 10,697 Rand and 50 cents. Okay, so 10,697 Rand and 50 cents. So if you have a look there, clear indication of what interest does to an amount of money. If she could buy it right now, she would pay 5,500 Rand. However, she's going to wait 4.5 years using an interest rate of 21% a year, which is really quite high. She's going to end up paying, or he, I can't remember if it's he or she in this question, but they're going to end up paying 10,697 Rand, okay, for this TV that's only worth 5,500 now. All right, remember, you're not done, because they said how much are the monthly payments, how much are her monthly payments. So we've got the final amount. We need to work out the monthly payment. So in order to work out your monthly payment, you take your final amount and you divide it by the number of months. Okay, so you divide it by N. In this case, it's in months. All right, so our monthly payments is going to be 10,697.5 divided by, we had 54 months. And let's see what we get there. So that's 198 Rand and 10 cents. So this is 198 and 10 cents. All right, but if you think you're done, you're mistaken, because remember they added something else onto that. So they're not just this what was this person's name again? Ayanda is not going to just pay the 198. She also then has to pay a monthly insurance premium of 12 Rand 50. So we know that she's paying 198 Rand a month. We need to add on the 12 Rand 50 to see in total what she's going to pay every month. So we take the 198.10, so the payment is going to be 198.10 plus that 12 Rand 50. Okay, and I'm going to use the answer that we didn't round off. Let's see what we get, plus 12.50. And you get 210 Rand and 60 cents. So 210 Rand and 60 cents. So that's what she's going to pay every month for this TV for a period of 4.5 years until she's paid it off. All right. Lily, do we have anyone with answers on this question?
No, but we have a question from Kamogelo. He's asking, is there a question which needs us to calculate the number of years on compound interest?
The number of years on compound interest in the specific segment that we did today?
I'm sure he's asking in financial maths.
In general.
Yes.
Guys, you can be asked to work out. So I just want to go back to a question where we've got our compound interest formula. All right. So you can be asked to work out the number of years. Yes. Okay. It is something that you can do when you get to grade 12, when we introduce something called logs. You can then work out N. However, for your purposes in grade 10, if we want you to work out the number of years, you'll have to do a bit of estimation. Okay, so you're going to estimate to get to the number of years. It's not going to be per point, every point correct for what you guys are going to be doing. We don't expect you to know how to calculate logs yet. As I said, it's something you're going to do later on, because remember, finance is one of those sections you're introduced to now, and you keep building on until you get to grade 12. So you can be asked to work out N. However, for your purposes for grade 10, you will have to estimate your N. All right.
All right, and then we have another question. Can I just give you questions right now? Bongo Musa is asking, where's that question now? Bongo Musa is asking, can you please do question 2, the last part?
All right, so let's have a look at question 2, the last part. We're obviously going to have to explain a bit of the first part as well in order to do the last part. But let's have a look at this question 2. So here we were looking for the number of years needed to invest 1,000 Rand for it to accumulate to 2,500, and they gave us the simple interest rate of 8.2%. Okay, so we first wrote down our final amount as 2,500. We knew that the initial amount was 1,000 Rand, and we saw that the interest rate is 0.082. How did I get that? I took the interest rate in percentage form divided by 100, and that gave me my interest rate that I'm going to use. We were looking for N. So all we did was we simply plugged everything that we had into the formula, the simple interest formula. We knew that A was 2,500, P was given as 1,000, your interest rate was 0.082 in decimal form, and N was what you were looking for. Now, we had to use changing the subject of the formula in order to isolate the variable N. Okay, so what we did, and I'm going to show you without all the numbers involved. Okay, if you're looking for N from that simple interest equation, the first thing you're going to do, so you've got A is equal to P times 1 plus I to the N. First thing you need to do is divide both sides by P, and you'll be left with 1 plus I times N. All right? You're still trying to get to the N, okay? What's attached to it? Well, there's a 1 that's added on. So then I simply need to subtract 1 on both sides, and I'll be left with A over P minus 1 is equal to I times N. Again, we're looking for N, the period, okay, the time frame that this is all going to happen in. So we need to divide both sides by I. All right, so therefore N is going to be A, your final amount, divided by your initial amount, minus 1, all divided by I. All All right, and I think that's really what that learner was asking. How do you get to the value of n? Well, we simply have to take the formula, change the subject of the formula, solve for n, and then we can get to the number of years, okay? So that's how we got n. We then used our calculator, put everything into the calculator, right? And you ended up with 18.29 years. But now, when they ask you in this question, calculate the number of years, okay? Generally, you're not going to be able to just leave it as 18.29 years. You're going to have to leave it as 8 years and however many months. So when we got this answer of 18.29 years, we said, okay, well, 18 years is fine. That's a complete number of years. Fine. We can't keep this 0.29 piece here. All right? So then what I said, well, is 0.29, okay, in decimal form. We said, okay, well, 0.29, we can work out what fraction of a year that is. So all we did is we times that, or how many months that fraction of a year is. We times that by 12, and that gave us an answer of 3.5 something, something, something. All right, and then what we did, because remember here I'm using our rounded off values, we got 3.5 as our answer the first time we did it. And what we did is we said, well, 3.5 months is not exactly 3 months, it's not exactly 4 months, but you had to round up to 4 months. And the reason we had to round up to 4 months, and you guys can try this for yourself, if you put into this formula here, all right, if you put into this formula here, if you put in here 18 years and then 3 months, okay, so if you work that out as a number of years and put that into your formula, you would not get 1,000 Rand at that interest rate giving you 2,500 Rand. We had to round up. If it was 3.5 months, you have to round one up so it becomes 4 months so that you can actually get your 1,000 Rand, taking you to an amount at least 2,500 Rand or more. So I think that's where the question was, is how did we get from the 0.29 to the 4 months? Okay, so all we did there was we took that fraction times by the number of months in a year, and then we rounded that up so that we can get to our final amount. In fact, if we have a little bit of time now, I will show you guys that 18 years, 3 months won't give you the right answer, but do we have any other questions?
Yes, we have a question from Moya Habo. He's asking, what happened to the I in question 4?
The I?
Yes.
All right, well, let's go to question 4 here. Nothing happened to the I. I was 0.11. In the bracket, how we got 1.11, remember inside your bracket it's 1 plus I to the power of n. I is 0.11, so 1 plus 0.11 gives you 1.11. So nothing happened to the I. We just added the I to the 1 and we got 1.11. All right.
You can show them the other
All right. Okay, so let's see if we can quickly just prove to you guys why 18 years and 3 months won't work in question 2. All right, and hopefully we won't run out of time while I'm trying to prove this point. Okay, so we're going to use 1,000, and we've got 1 plus 0.082 times n, which we're going to use as a number of years, okay? Now remember, if you've got 18 years and 3 months, we're going to have 18.25 as our n. How did I get that? How do I know that this is 18.25? Well, if you take 3 months divided by 12, it will give you a quarter, which is 0.25 of a year. So therefore, your n here will be 18 plus a quarter of a year, which gives you 18.25. All right, so if we had to use, so if we didn't round it up to 4 months and kept it at 3 months, guys, look what will happen. Your answer is going to be 1,000 into brackets 1 plus 0.082. And remember here now, we're putting in 18.25. So we rounded down, we didn't round up. That's going to give you an answer of 2,496. That's not good enough. You might need that 4 Rand for something. Okay? So 2496 is not quite 2,500. So therefore, when you get your 18.29, you need to take that fractional 0.29 and work out how many months is going to get you to 2,500 rand. And in this case, it was 3,5, which we rounded up to give us 4 months. And again, you can prove it to yourself. Put in here 18 years, 4 months. You will in fact go just above 2,500 rand. All right, Lenny, anything else?
Nope.
That's
all
it.
from me.
Is that it for today's lesson as well? All right, great. Thank you, guys. I hope you enjoyed that lesson and you learned a lot. Remember to tune in next week when we carry on talking about finance.
All right. Thank you so much, Natasha, for the lesson. Mindset is at home. Thank you for tuning in and for joining us on this Maths Monday. Until next time, we'll see you then. Goodbye from us.